Today is Saturday, February 15th, and it's day 2 of NADA Show 2020 in Las Vegas. We've got a big day planned. The expo opens at 8:30 this morning. Join us in the Grand Concourse at the Convention Center for the ribbon cutting and tour the 2020 Expo with us. This is where business gets done. You won't want to miss what's happening on the NADA Live stage right outside the Expo entrance. The stage features industry experts and guests sharing their insight and experience on topics as diverse as digital marketing, women in the industry, the modern dealership, the challenge of hiring and retaining techs, and much, much more throughout the weekend. Our educational sessions kick into high gear today. Workshops, exchange sessions, and the Distinguished Speaker Series all begin at 10:30 this morning. Dealer franchise meetings also start at 10:30. Join us at 2:30 for the opening general session, where we'll laugh with comedian Kathleen Madigan, look at the state of the industry with NADA Chairman Charlie Gilchrist, and find out who will be the 2020 Time Dealer of the Year. That's what's happening today at NADA Show 2020. For details on times and topics, check the NADA Show app or consult the online schedule at nadashow.org. Here's a look at how NADA works for dealers throughout the year.
All right, NAB 2020. How we doing, guys? You doing all right? Hanging with us. We're in Vegas. Everyone having a good time out there. Happy you guys are here. Thanks for taking part in everything going on here. Hello to everyone watching on the live stream back home. We miss you guys. Hope you're doing okay back there. We'll have some drinks for you here. So good to have you guys here. We're going to get into it. As you know, this has been the powerhouse location for collaboration, discussion, questions, and a lot of just foot resting is what's been going on here as well. So whatever you're here for, we're happy to have you here for it. So let's keep it moving. We have a fantastic topic and a fantastic guest to bring up. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to TVB in general. It is our platinum sponsor. We would be nowhere without you guys, and we really, really appreciate it. And this gentleman here, Steve, he's an awesome guy. He has a lot of things to share with you. So you know everything, everyone's talking about digital media. Let's not forget, television is strong, my friends. Strong, strong, strong. So to talk to you about a little bit about the strategies and how to kind of get into that and what's going on, we have this gentleman here. He formerly was kind of the Television Bureau of Advertising. They now consider themselves TVB. But amazing gentleman. He goes by the name of Steve Lanzano. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Bring him up on stage. Take it away, my friend. We'll do a Q&A after.
Thank you.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right. So every year we come here and we give you the newest data that just came out from both Nielsen and GfK in terms of people's media usage. How are they using media? How are they consuming media? And then what media actually influences them in terms of automotive buyers and automotive intenders. So this information, actually, we got a little late. We got it actually last week. So we had to really update all the slides and everything in the past 48 hours. But it's all here, it's all new, and it's all the latest information in terms of how people use media. Okay, there we go. So the first thing we talk about is time spent, right? What's important to a marketer is, well, how much time are they spending with your media? If they're not spending a lot of time with your media, then how are you going to be able to get your message out, and how are you going to be able to persuade people if they're in and out? So the first slide I have for you is the newest slide from Nielsen, and this is their total audience report. This shows you all of the media usage across the day. Now, where has the growth been in terms of media? The biggest growth is actually in smartphone usage. Now, you have to be careful when they define smartphone usage, right? What do we use our smartphones for? Well, I use it to text message. I use it to email. I use it to do work. I use it for a variety of different things that may not be marketing, may not be able to market to that person with what they're doing. So when you look at this slide, you'll see that people still spend. I know a lot of people, I don't watch TV. People spend about 3.5 hours a day watching live TV and another 30 minutes a day watching TV either that they've recorded on their DVR or they're watching on demand. And that number is actually a little bit up versus the prior quarter, believe it or not. But where people are spending a lot of their time is on smartphones. But the real question is, well, I want to reach people when they're watching video and video content. So how much time are they actually watching video content in other media? And this is an important chart. It shows you, as I spoke about before, people are spending 4 hours a day still watching TV. 3.5 hours of that watching live, the other half an hour again watching DVR or on demand. You look at it, they watch 55 minutes on TV connected devices. So what is that? Well, that's your Roku, that's your Chrome, your Fire Stick, etc. People spending 55 minutes. But the biggest thing, and I think the biggest perception reality area that we get is people only spend about 16 minutes a day watching video on their smartphone. Okay, 16 minutes. So that other chart that showed you how many hours they were spending on their smartphone, only 15 minutes of that is actually watching video. So it's really not a lot of time in terms of getting your video message out and reaching those people in that type of environment. So that's the first thing we do. Then we broke this down by demographic group, right? Younger people don't watch TV. Well, when I was young, I didn't watch TV either. So I always loved that question, right? And quite frankly, I've got 3 kids that are within 18 to 34 years old. And what we find, and we see this on this chart, as you get older, you watch more TV and more traditional media. Even in the period of my youngest son, who was kind of a Generation Z, who's grown up with technology, he really likes his 60-inch TV in his room and watching TV in his room. And as you get older, you can see people more and more, especially as they start getting into their income phase where they have money to buy big cars, they watch a ton of TV, whether it's 35 to 49 or 50 to 64. But even 18 to 34, if you look at those numbers, the amount of time they watch live TV as well as DVR on demand, you can basically add up the time they use every other medium to watch content, and they still watch more on TV. So that's overall, but what about people who are going to buy a car? I mean, do they have different media habits? So actually, we just flipped this, so I'm sorry. So the other question I always get is, well, I can reach more people on YouTube than I can reach on broadcast TV. So Nielsen did an analysis. And they said, okay, how many people can you reach on YouTube if you ran it on all their channels across the board every day for 30 days? And you can reach about 165 million, almost 166 million unduplicated viewers. So you should be on YouTube TV, right? It's important. There are people there. But in broadcast TV, you can reach the same amount of people across 7 broadcast networks over 8 days. So when you have a promotion out there, it's really important to use broadcast TV to get your message out as quickly as possible to a mass audience. Same thing with social. I always question, I can reach more people on social media, et cetera, than TV. Well, this one was very interesting. So you can reach 71 people, 71 unduplicated viewers on social media in a month. Okay, again, you should be there. Broadcast TV can reach the same amount of people in 1 day. And that's the big difference. What does broadcast TV bring you? Scale in premium content, and you get to reach those people quickly, which obviously for this industry is very important when you're trying to move cars on a weekly and a daily basis. So another just came out 3 days ago, and this is GfK. They're the second largest research firm in the United States. And this is based upon people who intend. So these are people who intend to buy or lease a car in the next year. Those people watch more TV than even what Nielsen says. They watch over 5.5 hours of TV. Then radio, social media, again, very important, streaming TV, and then email, and then down the line. So again, you can see the importance of TV in terms of reaching people that are intending to buy or lease a car in the next year. And TV has the highest reach of ad-supported platforms. So you can reach 83% of people who plan to buy or lease a car in the next year yesterday, in one day, across all those 8 networks. And again, as you go through this, the importance of radio, email, and again, social media, and of course, search. Now, I'll talk about search a little bit later, but bottom line with search is that other media drive people to search, right? They learn about something, hear about something, become aware about something in other media, and then they go and then they search. Now, influence. So it's all well and good. I can reach a lot of people in TV. I can reach a lot of people everywhere, but does it really influence my purchase decision? Does it have the power to persuade me and influence? So this is a study, again, done by GfK, and this was done last year. The study is actually in the field now, so we'll get the data probably in the next couple of months, and we'll be able to, if anybody gives me their card, I'll be more than willing to share that data with you. But as you can see across all phases of the purchase funnel, how people go through becoming aware of a product, to getting interested, considering it, and then to actually purchasing the product. Television is the #1 medium to influence you across all those segments. Now, what you see is that you can add up the influence of every other segment. It doesn't add up TV. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You should absolutely be in social media. You should absolutely be in search. You should absolutely be on YouTube. But it's the percent of dollars and the ratio of those dollars and where you put them that is so important. And again, this is another study by GfK looking at it a little bit differently, but it says television ads, as you can see, are the top influencer, but what influenced you across all of these sources in terms of advertising? And that's where you see television and social media, again, being 1 and 2, then email, then search and direct mail. So again, all these studies seem to corroborate each other. This is an interesting study to me because it was done by the Internet Advertising Bureau. The Interactive Advertising Bureau represents all the big digital players, right? Google, Facebook, across the board. That's their audience. They did their own study in terms of purchase influence. And they actually sent us the study because they marveled at what they saw. They thought that digital was going to be by far #1. So internet ads being #1. Broadcast TV was still the most influential in terms of influencing people who are intending to buy a car, by far. Then as you go across, you could see real product ads, you could see newspapers still, cable TV, internet ads, etc. So this is an entirely separate study, done entirely separately from GfK, that corroborated that information and that research. And finally, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, okay, so I saw an ad. Did I do anything? Did I take an action? What did I do? Well, 73% of the people that saw an ad on television took some sort of action. So over 3/4 did. And what do? Go to the internet, right? I want to learn more about that product. I want to learn more about that dealership. I want to learn more about that car. All right? That shows you how both television and internet and digital work together. They complement each other very, very well. But you know what? All television isn't created equal, right? There's cable TV, you've got Hulu, you've got on-demand. There are so many different ways to get a television signal now. It's so fragmented. So all television really isn't created equal, because if you ask somebody, of the top 100 shows, how many of those shows are cable TV shows, and how many of those shows are broadcast TV shows? 92 of the top 100 shows are broadcast TV shows. 92. 8 are ad-supported cable shows. And a question I always get, well, what are those 8? And I bet if I asked you that question, you could figure it out. What is it? Sports. Football, especially, right? Whether it's college football, especially college football, NFL regular season, Monday Night Football, Sugar Bowl, the top 8 of the top 100 programs that cable offers are all sports. You should be there, but to show you, there are 92 other shows that are out there that are on broadcast TV that reach a wide audience. And one of the questions, and I really think this is very interesting, there's 3 services that ask this question. GFK, TiVo actually gets the information from the TiVo boxes, okay, and Wells Fargo. And the question is, okay, right, you know, when you ask people how many shows you watch, whether you get 1,000 stations or whether you get 50, people watch about 12 or 15 stations. So if you could only pick the 10 stations you want, what would they be? Well, the top 5 have been consistent the past 6 years. I want my affiliate from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And overall, it's ESPN. But if you look at it for different targets, right, for a female target, it's either Discovery or it's Oxygen or it's Lifetime. It's one of those. But always in the top 5, the broadcast networks are your top 4. And why is that? Well, people forget it's just not primetime television, right? You know, people watch, if you look at the top 10 programs in a market, 5 of those programs in most markets are the local television news, right? We all know who our anchor is. We all know who right, because of the trust factor. We all know who our meteorologist is, right? I can take my phone out. I know what the weather's going to be, but I trust the person that's on TV telling me what the weather's going to be like and what's going to happen. In fact, for local broadcast affiliates and owned station groups, 55% of their revenue, 55%, comes from local news. Only 17% actually come from prime time. Now, working together, I talked about this before. Your broadcast, your TV, your video works very well together with the internet. In fact, when you look at motivation in terms of people, has an advertising TV motivated you to go to the internet? As I spoke about before, 70% of car buyers said, I saw that ad, I went to the internet immediately to get more information on that subject. And this has actually been done, and it's a company that's actually here, and they did a study of a 5 rooftop dealership in terms of what happened when they added TV to their site traffic. So I hadn't had any TV. In fact, they had very little TV that they were running. And then they decided to up their TV spend. And look what happened to their site traffic. Immediately went through the roof and sustained it over a 6-month period. Then you could say, well, what about the reciprocal? So what happens if you take away TV? Well, look what happened. Different advertiser, different dealership. Again, this was in the Midwest. They were running TV, right? Their site traffic was terrific. They were very happy. They decided they were going to test this, right? This is actually a Toyota dealership. They're going to test this. They're going to cut off TV, see what happens to their site traffic. It went to 0, almost 0, negligible. So, okay, what's the next thing you do when you're doing a test? Let's bring TV back and see if that was really the difference in terms of driving people to my website. And what happened? The numbers went through the roof again. Again, the power of TV to drive people to take an action, especially an action on a website, is so important, and how they complement each other, and why you should be doing, yes, you should be doing television, and yes, you should be doing digital, because they complement each other and they work together. In fact, there was a study done by basically the top 200 CMOs in the United States, from Procter & Gamble to the major manufacturers, the automotive manufacturers, across the board. And what did they say is happening in marketing right now? Marketing is becoming basically a barbell, right? You have TV on one side and digital video on the other side, and everything else is falling in between. Those are the 2 most effective media that provide the most ROI across any product category. Now, which media do advertisers trust for their advertisement? So it comes down to, right, if it ain't working, I wouldn't do it. So where do they spend their money? Well, when you look at the automotive manufacturers, the OEMs, the tier one, all right, over 80% of their dollars continue to be spent on television. Now, the greatest question I get, we do a lot, obviously, as you know, with what's going on this year in the election. There's a lot of money out there that's being spent on television advertising, right? Michael Bloomberg is spending more money now than any candidate spent in the last election, basically, already over a 3 or 4 month period. So the question I always get is, okay, that's all well and good. Where do the digital guys spend their money, right? Where does Facebook spend their money, right? Where does Microsoft spend their money? Where does Google spend their money when they advertise? Well, very simply, 80% of their dollars, whether it's Microsoft, Google, or Facebook, spend their money on television. And the bottom line is, you probably all watch the Super Bowl, right? Everybody probably watched the Super Bowl. Guess what? Facebook, Google, and Microsoft had a spot in the Super Bowl because they know the power of television to move their business and get results. So this is the most recent information that we just got literally in the past week. We'll be updating it. If there's any other information you want, see me. I also have some of my colleagues here who can get you the information. I'll give you my card, and we can update you on it. So with that, if anyone has any questions that I can answer, we got a few minutes.
Let's do that. I have a question. Can we get some applause for Steve Lanzano, first of all?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Steve. So, guys, again, I always say this. We're all one big happy family. I have a mic here. If you have any questions at all, I know it may feel a little awkward, but trust me, that's all I'm doing all day is being awkward. We're all here to answer your questions. Feel free to raise your hand. I'll come over. I see you right over there, buddy, coming right on over. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. How you doing over here? Looks like we have Mike here. How you doing?
Hi, Mike.
A great talk, by the way.
Thank you.
What are you seeing? How to combat the aging demographics of especially local news and broadcast television?
Well, you know, it's interesting. When
Thank
you
you.
look at local news, right, it's always been an older demographic. And it's always going to be an older demographic. What we like to do, and what Nielsen does, they're getting away from essentially age and talking about life stage, right? People are changing in terms of life, right? You get out of school, you're very different as a 24-year-old getting out of school, getting your first job. Then you're 34 years old, you're married, you have kids, you have a house. Guess what? News becomes important to you. It's really an important information source for you. So what's happening is life stages have gotten older in terms of people getting married, people having children, people buying a home, okay? The demographic has gotten a little older. That's going to continue. What you see in terms of television viewership, especially of news, is that it just crescendos up. You know, I think the interesting part is how is that going to continue crescendo up over the next few years? That we don't know, right? I don't know the trends. The trends have been that way for the past 30 years. I suspect it'll slowly go that way again. It might move a little older, but it's going to continue to trend that way. But when you look at disposable income, it's really people 35 plus. Hope that helped you, Mike.
I just got a follow-up. Coming on
Oh,
right
go ahead,
over,
Mike. I'm sorry, I
Got
can't
you,
hear
brother.
you.
Coming right over.
But most local news markets are all 55 plus now.
No. 35 plus. That's really the audience. I can get you the data. It's 35 plus.
All right. Anything? All right. Excellent. Any other questions out there, guys?
Somebody has to have another question. I'm
have
not
one.
that good.
While they're thinking about it for you, real quick, I have one for you. So
Sure.
One data point that was really interesting to me is you were talking about how prospective buyers tend to watch more television. What's up with that?
It's
Why? What is
I
the
think
deal?
A part of it is when someone is interested in the subject,
Yeah.
right? They go
You
to
go
a place
look
where they can
for it.
get the information.
There you
right?
go.
You know, advertising is about relevancy, right? If I just bought a car and I'm not in the market for a car, you can run 1,000 ads on me and it doesn't get. But when I'm in the market for a car, guess what? I'm noticing every car commercial that's out there, and that's why I think you see it. Also, it's an older demographic, right? 18 plus was just everybody.
Yeah.
When you look at the buyer demographic for cars, it's older, and they tend to watch more television.
It's an really, really interesting fact there. Any other questions? We're almost done here, guys. We just have about another minute or so. We have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand.
Any other questions?
Got a pretty big audience here. So let me ask you this. So you made a really good case. I guess good thing we could close on is you made a really
Sure.
great case for how television marketing is alive and well, extremely effective. So now that we have that awareness, all right, what do people do? How do we implement this knowledge and go forward?
I mean, you can obviously work closely with your agency.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the experts. Get all the research you can get. It's about data, 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 but it's just not about data, it's about insights. What did you learn from that data? My background was 30 years on the agency side of the business before I came to the TVB. And it was always about we have all this research, but that research is only good if you find an insight off of the research. Find the research and work with your local broadcast station. I mean, they can do not only obviously sell you linear television, but they can do SEM, SEO. They can create a website for you. They can create your advertising for you. Believe me, they'd love to do it because the business of local broadcasters is changing. They're becoming marketers. They're becoming agencies unto themselves, right? And they're there to be your counsel and to help you in terms of making those decisions across the board. One of the other things, and you brought it up really quickly, is over the top, right? Everybody's about over the top, et cetera. Over the top is going to get bigger. You can be more targeted with it, right? The stations can sell you their over-the-top inventory as well as over-the-top inventory in other places. So you can reach the exact audience that you want. There's not a lot of inventory right now in over-the-top. It's a nascent industry, but that's going to continue to grow moving forward.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Steve Lanzano. Thank you so much. Steve at tvb.org. Is that what it is?
That's it.
Steve at tvb.org. All right. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Appreciate you, man.
Thank
If
you.
you guys want to email him for any more questions or any of that, feel free. All right, folks, hang with us. We're going to reset.
Good.
We're back
Thanks,
on in
man.
probably about
Oh, my
1
pleasure.
minute.
Thank
So I'll
you.
see you guys in just 1 minute. I see they're getting pumped.